I have another video, and today we're going to be looking at the Imperial, the interactive army list that I teased on that little short video, those couple of shorts. Hi, welcome back. I have a new video, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the interactive army list for Warhammer 40k that I showed off in those short videos. I had to dig out a Windows 7 PC, get that all set up and functional. Had to play a few games for science and make sure Windows 7's was working. But I do have everything good to go, and this should be functional. So I'm just going to open up Armies of the Imperium first. Now, technically, these are both the same, with the only difference being a color change and the armies they represent and give you an option to work with. But both will function essentially the same, otherwise exactly the same, really. You'll open up to a splash page that's going to include some tips. These are the next tip of the tips of the day, like you'd find in the rule books, those little blurbs at the bottom of every page or most pages. And you can skip between them if you want to. You get some really excellent art. And yeah, I mean, it's cool. I mean, like a lot of people who have played as long as I have, you're going to recognize most, if not all, of these images. They're, in my mind, pretty classic representations of the universe. After that, I'm going to show you what you can do on the main page. So you have a file drop-down, which lets you open up your configuration. This is just how the Army Builder works. The interactive army list, Army Builder being a, I believe, trademarked program from the same period. And page setup, and this is just how you would set up how the printing is going to go, your margins, and which rules will be printed in the list. I chose everything because if I'm going to print this, I do want all the rules on those pages. I think that just makes the most sense. After that, you have a help button that just lets you see how to do different things. It can be helpful because some of this is not the most intuitive, but overall it's pretty simple. That's that. And then you can make a new army or load an army. So let's make a new one. We'll go with Space Marines, but you can pick from Black Templars, Blood Angels, Catechins, Daemon Hunters as allies, Dark Angels, Imperial Guards, Salamanders, Space Marines, and Space Wolves. Now, these also have drop-downs, some of them. So in this case here, I could pick one of these four. I'm just going to keep it as a basic Space Marine list. Version is 2.0. There are other versions out there. This was supported up till around 2009 is what I've learned, mostly through Snipe and Wib, I think is how you say their channel name. But I have looked around on the Wayback Machine, found a few downloads, but they won't do anything when I try to install them, so I'm not sure if I'm using them wrong, but they don't give me an error. They just show me that they're installing something, and then they don't function. But it really isn't too important because I did want this for 3rd edition armies, and that's what all these are. If I could find the chapter approved ones, that would be nice though. You can add an army name and a player name. This would be useful for narrative campaigns or tournaments. You can pick your scenario. There's the basic ones from the book. You can select your point size. I'm going to set this to 1000. You can also just type what you want. Oops. You can choose up to 5 force organization charts. I'm not sure what that's about. I don't remember that being a thing back in 3rd or 4th, but it is probably something to do with narrative games or maybe mega battles before we had Apocalypse. It could be something to do with that, but which would make sense because this actually does go up to 10,000 points, and I don't see how you could fit 10,000 points on a single force organization chart with any of the armies. So after that, it'll just tell you the day you made it and day it was modified if you went back to work on it. And you can select special characters and make notes. So let's create this army. I'm not going to add the Daemon Hunter's allies, just because I don't think they're necessary right now to show off what this does. So when you come in, you have some drop-down menus. They look quite similar to basically anything if you're familiar with older Windows. And most of them really aren't that important. I've noticed they can have their uses, but they're pretty specific. Then you have make a new one, open one, save, print preview. This red square is telling me that this army is not valid. So that's because I have 0 points and I have not taken my compulsory, which is my HQ or my 2 troops. Here you have your selection window. This is where you pick your troop type. The army list is presented as a force organization chart for the period. You can also go into the configuration and change this to a tree view, at which point you would open it, but there's nothing here. Anything that goes in, we'll just add this guy with a bolt pistol, just so you can see. It then starts filing down this way. I'm going to remove him, and then I'm going to go back to graphical, because I like the force organization chart. I just think this makes the most sense. That is fine as an output once you're done, but until you're done, it makes no sense to transfer over, and even then, once you're finished, that's not going to affect the printing, so it doesn't make sense really at all in my mind to ever use the tree, but other people might disagree. It's going to be down to personal taste. So, you start off by just picking which one you want to add, and you simply drag it over, and you add one of the characters. In this case, I'm going to select a commander. You can double click their images, which is also a nice little thing here. You get a picture of the model. So in this case here, the commander is, I believe, the one you would have received if you bought Assault on Black Reach. And I'm going to give him a bolt pistol and a power fist. Just so that he, you know what, it's that guy, so let's actually give him a power sword. If we open this up, this drop box, we'll see what he has for equipment. I can also choose to give him artificer armor. And again, because I can double click this, I can add stuff a lot faster with a frag grenade, a melt-a-bomb, Terminator honors, and that's probably enough. And a squad for his command that will help support him. Clicking on them, we get a new series of drop-downs and a new window. You get your initial unit of sergeant and 4 troops, which I will then upgrade to have a veteran sergeant. You always have to double click what you're replacing, and you'll see in a second that this does matter because sometimes you'll have multiple options. I'm going to give him a bolt pistol, and he'll have the power fist, replacing his bolter. Afterwards, I will give him also, actually he doesn't need a melt-a-bomb because he has a power fist. And then I'll move on to the command squad again. I will upgrade them by giving them 1 apothecary and 1 tech marine. As you can see, as you take things from here and add them over here, that option disappears if it's no longer valid. So that's definitely something that's pretty cool. You can also select items that are squad based that you can select for the whole squad. So in this case here, I'll give them all frag grenades. And why not, let's give them all Terminator honors to go with his. And because that means there's now 6 men in this unit, I'll give them a Razorback. At this point here, I think I've taken enough unit choices in here, so I'm just going to make sure that they're all upgraded to where I need them. He has a bolter. I would prefer if he has a bolt pistol and a power weapon, replacing the bolter. And before I go, going down to war gear, an Arthesium. Now, if you don't know what an Arthesium is, what you can do is go up to selection and hit item description. You can also hit Control I. And once you click on it, you'll get a new window over here which has popped up that you can get the description for. It tells you what it is with a quick description, and it tells you what it does in the game. So it's handy to have, basically ignoring the first saving throw for that unit every turn unless it's instant death. So the Tech Marine, again, you'll get the description. It's actually something I suggest doing as soon as you open a new window. If this is not open, you should hit Control I and have it, so that you can always just glance over to your side here and see what that unit or model has for stats and special rules. Tech Marine, I am going to give him a Bolter Melta, replacing his Bolter, and a Servo Arm. Now there's a Signum here. I forget what this does, so again I can just look over, and it allows him to have targeting information in game turns. It allows him each turn to reroll one miss to hit shooting for the command squad. Oh, sorry, it's not just him, it's the whole command squad. That's pretty cool. Let's throw that on. Now, there is some little issues here, like Terminator Honors is already here, but it's still an option down here. That's because I took it from up here instead. So, I have both of those guys completed. And because I gave that guy the Melta, I'm going to give this guy a Flamer, so that the squad has this option if they want to jump out and flame a target. And I'll upgrade the vehicle, again, just by double-clicking and swapping out the weapons for a twin-link las cannon. And I'll give it smoke launchers to give it a little more survivability those first turn or two when they're trying to get into position. At this point here, I have a command squad that's 368 points and a total of 470 points into this one HQ. So very expensive for your 3rd edition HQ at 1,000 points, but it is 2 units technically. And then I still need 2 troops, so I'll drag them over really quick. The first one, I make it a tactical squad. As you can see, again, you get a sergeant and 4 space marines. That's your minimum size, giving them frag grenades, a veteran sergeant, and a rhino. I'll then grab the space marine option, and I can add 1 to 5 more. I'm going to choose to add 5. The space marine sergeant, I'm going to swap him over to a bolt pistol and a power fist. 1 space marine is going to have a flamer, and 1, I'm going to give him, I don't know, how about a plasma gun? Sorry, not a plasma gun. A las cannon. I already gave a flamer to that squad. So now they have a heavy and an assault weapon. They all have their frag grenades, except for him. I've noticed this does happen when you use a sergeant in a squad, or if you have a sergeant, especially the veterans. They don't seem to get the frag grenades when you throw them onto the squad, so I'm just going to pull that over for him. And I think that's a pretty solid squad. Plus at 271 points, they're expensive enough. I need 1 more troop choice. I'll just give them some scouts. It's already a legal unit. Again, once you see green, you know you're legal. And there we go. 1 HQ and 2 troops, with a little bit of points left over just for something fun. Let's grab something from heavy support, like whirlwinds. A whirlwind would be cool. I don't think there's any real upgrades that are worth adding to this guy, so I'll just leave him like this. And for the last 119 points, let's see what we have under fast attack. You can see the base cost of them is too high. It's pretty close there, but that's all my points. So maybe a land speeder squadron. If you bought the starter set back in 3rd, you would have had one of these kicking around. Let's upgrade him to have a multi-melta. And this guy is now 65 points. I can take 1 more in this squadron. He'll just have the heavy bolter. I can't afford the multi-melta as it is a 15-point upgrade. If I wanted that, I'd have to go make changes somewhere. Oops, cancel, don't do that. Remember, once it's green, hit this. And there we go. That's a 1,000 point Space Marine list. It really wasn't that hard to make. The first time you use this, the first few times, it's definitely a little clunky, and some armies are a little more difficult than others. The Imperial Guard, for example, uses the 3.5 list, and it's definitely more complicated to use. But overall, it really isn't too bad, and because the pictures are there, you do just have sort of a quick recognition by glancing over of what you want. You don't really have to read until you get down to the war gear in most cases, where it's just a generic symbol. And having that description section is really nice. I think any time lost in this method of army list building is probably regained by not having to have an army book open on your lap if you need to go into the war gear section. Yes, after a while you do know your war gear pretty well, but having that available, especially when you're learning an army, that just makes it really quick and simple. I like that a lot. Now, if I click on something here, I do have this section here, the preview. This will tell me everything that's in there up to 10 lines deep. This is obviously more than 10 lines. They mean 10 main lines, not including their upgrades and whatnot. Finally, I'm going to do a print preview just so you can see what this army would look like on paper once printed. It's going to be 5 pages, and I'll bump up the size here so it's easier to see. So as you can see, it tells you what is in the unit, all the stats, the equipment they have, and the points breakdown for each unit. And as you go down through this, you then get into first your weapons, and then descriptions of everything. Because I zoomed in, I have to scroll a bit, but that wouldn't normally be the issue. And again, more equipment descriptions and special rules. All of this is nice to have. I'm going to print this out if I use this, because I find that's just going to be, again, a really helpful and quick way to utilize my army and not have to always be flipping pages. And, you know, like any army building software, you just check it once to make sure it's correct. And then you can just hand this off to your opponent, or even hand them your codex. And that way there, you still have your rules in front of you either way, but it makes it really simple for both players to be aware of what everybody has, where there isn't a lot of gotcha mechanics to 3rd edition. So I'm going to close this down. And to save, you would just click the little floppy disk icon, because it is New Space Marines. I'll just leave it like that. As you can see, I already have one here that I was messing around with. And there we go. That is a saved army list. You can check by hitting load, New Space Marines. And there we go. I'm just going to close this down. And really quickly, I'm going to swap discs over to Enemies of the Imperium, because this is older, and it does, because this comes from like 20 years ago, it came on a disc, and you need the disc in there for security purposes, unless you can find a crack, which at this point here, I think that's, well, you'd have an easier time learning how to crack it yourself, I think, and just doing that on your own. And maybe one day I'll take a crack at that. But for now, I'm just going to swap discs because I do have them, so obviously it's not a big deal. Opening up the Enemies of the Imperium, I now can just show you that it's basically the same thing, except in red, and the pictures are the evil stuff. Like Dark Eldar, regular Eldar, same with the tips of the day. They're a little darker in some cases. Ah, Vect. That's a cool model we need back. I think really if they want to give a giant tank to the Dark Eldar, giving that guy his rightful place at the head of the Dark Eldar forces would be pretty cool to see. And it is otherwise the same. Just to show you now what you do get. Oops. You get Chaos, which has a lot more drop downs. This is all the legions that they would have had in the 3.5 Codex as an option. Craft World Eldar, again your options. Regular Eldar, Necrons, Orcs. There's nothing there. There is a Speed Freaks list though. I don't remember where that was from. I thought that was in chapter approved, so I'm not sure why just that one is available. Tau and Tyranids. And again, nothing special there. Just really quick, I'll jump into a Necron list. Just so you can see, again, really quick, how fast this is, and especially with a army like the Necrons. So you drag over, you pick something. In this case, I'm going to take this Necron Warlord. I'm going to give him the War Scythe. I'm going to give him a Resurrection Orb and a Phase Shifter. That's the 4+, yeah, 4+ Invulnerable. He's now pretty expensive, so I'll stop there. And I'll give them a second HQ. Another Lord, this time with a Destroyer body. I saw that, there we go. And this guy is going to also have a Resurrection Orb. I'll keep the Staff of Light on him, though. For the elites, or sorry, for troops, pull over 2 troops. Necrons, this is again why I chose them. They are beautifully simple. I'm going to give them Disruption Field. And I'm going to give them 5 more models. So now there are 15. Now, the thing about this, because again, there's only one choice, I can just simply copy the warriors and then paste them. And now I have 2 units that are the same. And I have now filled my troop choices. Going to fast attack. I'm going to add some destroyers to escort the Lord. This provides you your 3 destroyers. I'll give 1 more to the unit. There are no other upgrades you can give these guys. Heavy support. I'll add 2 heavy destroyers. And I'm at 1,280. And I'll add an elite. I'll take some pariahs to escort the Lord, or at least not, maybe not escort, but to keep him safe. He'll probably try to stick around the warriors if I was to play this list, just because there's more of them. So 5 pariahs are that much. I'll add 4 pariahs. I'll make it an even 8. Oops, no I won't, because that's too much. So just remove until you're good. Oops, I took out the whole unit by accident. Let's add 2 more. 1496, perfect. So there are now 6. And that's, all it is. It's very quick, going through all the options. Obviously, Necrons made that a lot simpler, just because they are a very quick army to pick from, with their limited options at that point. But I think that kind of demonstrates what I mean. I just wanted to be very thorough with this review and this explanation of how it works, because it's a really neat program, and this is something we'll never see again. This is just kind of a nice, weird little piece of Warhammer history, and I just am really happy to finally have a copy. I really ignored this back when this was available, and I really wish I hadn't, because it's cool. And having these now, at least, I get to enjoy them and put them on my shelf with the rest of my 3rd edition books. And I think, if somebody were to see that collection and ask why I have 2 DVDs there, or I guess CD-ROMs, it's a cool little explanation of just that time that GW released a couple of digital codexes that weren't codexes at all. They were just army list builders that they decided to call codexes. But, yeah. Thanks very much for watching. I hope this was informative and people found this interesting like I did. And if you have any thoughts or questions, comments, anything you want to say about the video or ask about the programs, feel free to leave those below. And I'd love to chat about this. I think this is a really cool piece. This is definitely like one of the cooler things in my collection now, just because it's so different and weird. Yeah, so again, thanks very much for watching, and I hope everybody has a great day.